Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my deep dive into a beautiful deck called The Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And it's a very different deck from the decks that I was trained on and possibly even you were raised on. Even if you were new to Tarot, the chances are you were probably learning on an RWS or a Thoth deck, a deck that comes out of the Golden Dawn tradition, which is a British tradition that has migrated around the world. And this is, again, a very different deck. This is a deck which was created by Christine Payne-Towler after extensive, exhaustive, deep, profound research into the European tarot traditions and the esoteric wisdom, the Kabbalah, the Zodiac, all of the esoterica surrounding the continental tarot, which goes back to the Italians and through the French and the Spanish, pre-Golden Dawn, pre-British invasion. And so what do? Because this is a very new deck to me, even after almost 50 days of working with it, it's still a fairly new deck to me. And so every day I draw a card. I do a daily draw, right? That's what we call them, daily draws. I do one of those. And I look at it and I acknowledge the ideas and the memories and the meanings that I have stored in the back of my mind associated with that card from my work with Golden Dawn based decks. Yeah, the RWS, the Smith-Waite deck, the Thoth deck, the Harris Crowley, and all of their iterations and their recreations and redrawings and reimaginings of those systems. So I face that card, I try to disengage what I think I know about the card and try to confront it as it is. And then I also do a reading from using a RWS styled deck called the Lightseer's Tarot. So what I do is I do a 3-card draw. I do first card draw being the significance of the daily draw, the second being the obstacle to that meaning, and the third, the advice, what I should do about it. Typical 3-card spread. And then I live my day. And at the end of the day, I refer back to the book by the creator, Christine Payne-Towler, and try to understand the meanings as she intended the cards to represent, and see how those meanings manifested for me during the day, or not. And then I record this video. And so, the card that I drew today, now if you've been watching me regularly or you saw the last few days, you probably know that I was starting to get a little fed up with reversed cards. Not seriously fed up, but if you are like me and you do use some decks with reversals, after a period of time, seeing another reversal come up can be a little bit tiring. Sometimes it requires more reading. It requires more thought to read a card in reversal, at least for me. So when this card came up upright, I was really jazzed this morning. This is the Ace of Discs. I'm sorry, the Ace of Discs, not Pentacles. Pentacles, that's a Golden Dawn invention. This is Discs. And it's a beautiful card. It's a lovely card. Look at that glorious disc that looks like the sun to me, with the eye of God, or the third eye right there in the center. Look at the flowers growing up on the sides. We've got a garden there, a hint of, or a taste of, or the essence of a garden growing. We see the moon down below. We see what could be, I don't know, maybe those are star anise down there at the bottom. Could possibly be. Maybe star jasmine. And then we see at the bottom the astrological association being Saturn in Capricorn, which is a very, very happy meeting. Yeah, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So Saturn being in Capricorn, it means this is a very good match. And it's the ace, it's the first, it's the beginning, it holds all the potential of the rest of the suit right here in your hand, which is also wonderful. So things that I think of usually when I think of this card in, for example, a card designed by Pamela Coleman Smith, I think of opportunity, I think of the seed of possibilities, of physical possibilities, manifestation. Here I get the idea of a little bit more of maybe, I keep wanting to say insight into the manifested world. And that's something I might want to play around with in my mind. Insight into the manifestation of things, of health, of property, of bounty, the manifested bounty of this earth that we live in, with. And Capricorn in, Saturn in Capricorn, yeah, it's the discipline and the wisdom of working steadily, doing the step-by-step tasks to reach success, perhaps even to reach the heights. And so every moment can be an Ace of Discs moment for me. And we'll get into that in a bit, because I'm actually might be reading more of the book in the back of my head than what I first thought of when I saw this card. So I saw that. I saw potential. I saw Capricorn ruled by Saturn, and that work ethic, the working and moving up towards the heights, and the Saturn, which can be harsh, but can also be disciplined and can be wise and can be slow, honestly. It's a slow-moving planet, right? And so I did my 3-card pull with Delight Sears Tarot. And let me show you those cards right now. I didn't finish telling you the story of the pen yesterday. This pen. Yesterday, if you saw the video yesterday and you stuck around for for most of it, you will have heard me complain and moan about this pen not working and how difficult it was for me to videotape a walkthrough. What I didn't remember to tell you yesterday was that suddenly, when I got home, this pen, which is also a remote for the tablet that I'm using to film this, and I use to film all of my videos, this pen, which is the remote for this tablet, suddenly started working again. I had thought that I would have to pay another $50 to $60 US to get a new one, and then I got home and it was working again. Go figure. So I'm using it right now as my remote. Anyway, so you just saw those 3 cards. Perfect, or very interesting cards for the Ace of Discs. We had the significance being the 5 of Wands. I could fly with that. The obstacle being the 2 of Wands. Yeah, interesting progression. The 2 being an obstacle to a 5. I could see that. And then the 6 of Swords as advice. And that gave me a little bit of not a stumbling point so much as a moment of pause. So what did I think? So opportunities, potential, working hard to reach a summit, and this being the significance made absolute sense to me. Now, there's, whether it is conscious or unconscious, known or unknown, there's almost always some kind of competition or it doesn't have to be conflict, but competition when we work with a group to get stuff done. There's cooperation and there's often competition. There's a spectrum of that. Even when the group is working beautifully together, there's still going to be a spectrum of competition and cooperation. in the process. So this made sense. So this was telling me that the opportunities are not going to be necessarily individual opportunities or individual work, individual step by step to achieve some heights or some summit, but it possibly, or most probably, would be a group effort of some sort, and there would be some knocking between each other, some jostling for position, jostling for making decisions, for working together. And that could be good, that can be beneficial. We could people can raise each other up with the positive kind of competition, rather than the kind of competition that's trying to knock everybody else down, the kind of competition in which we rise above the shoulders of those around us. So the obstacle being the Two of Wands is interesting, yeah? Because sometimes we get stuck in the planning phase and we never get past that. And that's what I thought of when I saw this two after that Five of Wands, is that the obstacle or the shadow to this is getting stuck in planning mode. And so this moving on thing makes sense, right? So if you're stuck in planning, you should move on. But then I would have thought that would have been another Wands, not this mental thing of letting stuff go and moving on to clearer waters, brighter seas, or calmer seas. But in a sense, perhaps when we are in that planning phase and when we are jostling for position, there are some thoughts, there are some ideas that we want to carry forward with us, and there are some thoughts and ideas that we want to leave behind. And maybe that's what this is about. Discernment of what to carry forward with us and what to leave behind in the stormy shores of the planning phases. Does that make sense? So those are the ideas that were rolling around in my mind, and some of those right now might be colored in retrospect, but those are the things that I was thinking about. So I came home and I read the book, and let me read some of the book, not all of the book. Think of it as the seed of your future fulfillment, right? An ace represents a single step towards your goal, but if that step is continued over time, it can cover great distances. Yeah, what do they say? They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and then the next. And what we understand is then the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. It's just a step after a step after a step. You're not trying to accomplish a huge, unimaginably monolithic, what's the M word? A huge, humongous task all at once. Now it's step by step by step by step. Next, it comes to, it promises an invitation to someplace rich and special, fertile territory, redolent with untapped potential. And this is the echo of perhaps Pamela Coleman Smith's art, where there's that, you see the garden, and then there's that gate in the garden, which we can go through to this vast landscape with mountains and huge, huge potential and possibilities. This ace tells us to study deeply the already established order that currently governs the circumstances around you. Make sure you appreciate every benefit and understand every feature of the current circumstance before you start rearranging things to suit your momentary whim. This was, I think, is important for me. And I'm going to stop there. There's more here about Capricorn and Saturn. Like Capricorn and Saturn are natural matches, but also when this card is in reverse, Capricorn and Aquarius are also a natural match in the classical planetary associations to the zodiac. One is the dry way, one is the wet way. So, and that is important and that is meaningful, but for today, I'd like to describe what opportunities presented themselves to me. There were actually quite a few opportunities that presented themselves to me. Some were phantasmal, were ethereal, and were like a diaphanous cloth that has no substance or little substance. But there were a couple of things that were interesting, and they weren't actually brand new today, but they became more real. They became realer today. And the first one is the one that's perhaps the least substantial, but still interesting. One of my coworkers is apparently developing a sitcom that he's hoping to sell to the United States about a foreign teacher here in Korea. And no, he's not asking me to play the lead. He's got a rapper from the United States who has worked in Korea in the past, is on board with doing this apparently. The whole project sounds interesting, sounds very, very disorganized, and form like an amoeba. There's form there, but who knows what shape the shape is very is malleable and not clear, not definite, not set. But he asked my coworker sent me this kind of outline, which had kind of a little bit of what could have been an elevator pitch, but it really wasn't. There's a lot of problems with it being an elevator pitch. If I heard it, I would say, you got to figure out what you want to do. Come back when you have something coherent. And then the rest, there were a couple of problematic things, but I responded as supportively and as honestly as I could at the same time, respectfully. And my colleagues said that he appreciated it, and said that, and when I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't overstepping my bounds. He asked me to look at it and react to it, but still there might have been an invisible or a boundary that he had seen around that offer that I was not aware of, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make sure that I hadn't overstepped my bounds in not just saying, oh, that's good, I'm sure this will become something, and actually gave critique. And I wanted to make sure he didn't feel like I was being rude or dismissive. And I wasn't really. If I really wanted to dismiss it, I would have just ignored the whole thing. So he seemed to be okay with it all. He started chatting with, I'm not very good at rapid chatting on apps like, for example, Messenger. This wasn't Messenger, but for example, Messenger, where somebody would write like half of a line or two-thirds of a line and then shoot, and sometimes it changes topic. And it's like, just slow down and just let's focus on one thing if we want to talk about it. So he's the kind of guy who shoots out lots of stuff, and I interjected a couple times and said, look, I need to get back to doing some reading that I was working on before we started this chat session, and he seemed to understand. We are both starting a new semester in a few days, so there's that. But then he asked if I'd be interested in meeting for coffee or going out for a meal sometime, which was the first. I mean, I've actually never formally met this man. I met him through our group chat on an app, and I'm sure I've seen his face, but I've never actually seen his face in person, except for maybe from across the room. And so this is interesting. Only work possibility that I can see, which is perfect because I wouldn't want anything more from this relationship. But he's the kind of guy who also likes to brag about how wonderful he is and the people that he knows, which I always sends up little alarm signals for me. When somebody says, oh, I know this, I know these kinds of people, and I know that person, I start my little danger will erupt. Not danger, but still, don't believe everything you're listening to. But still, maybe he does know some people, and maybe this could be an opportunity, even if that project does not work out, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it might be an opportunity to expand my social horizons in some way. That would be interesting. The second thing is this book that I mentioned. The call went out to actually form a group and start working on it, which was good news to me. And I I raised my little app hand to volunteer, and I've been added to the group. And again, this was late at night for me. I mean, it was past 9 o'clock, and then suddenly everybody's chatting about this. Well, I know this and I know that. And I'm like, dude, it's nighttime. I didn't say anything, but in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, if this is nighttime, let's do this talking thing about work tomorrow. But there's an email that's gone out. So that's another opportunity that could benefit me at work, definitely. And there might be, both of them, it could involve some, not necessarily competition, again, in the negative sense of tearing other people down, but in jostling and finding our place and reaching for the light and reaching for the fire and reaching for the creativity and reaching for the passion. Like this figure is reaching for that. She's not trying to kill that person or knock that other person down. She's reaching for that thing. Who can get to it first? Who can build the fire up larger? Or maybe we can all do it separately and together, if that makes sense. So what am I leaving behind? What was the idea of leaving behind? Maybe leaving behind preconceived ideas of what things seem to be. Maybe leaving behind my little warning signals that went off. Maybe moving past those warning signals, because those warning signals are signals of a past life. I didn't mean it that literally, but it could be a past life as well. But I mean, my youth in theater. Do you know that I worked in regional theater for about 10 years? And so I've met people like this guy before, although this guy is not really a theater person by his own admission. He's not a theater person, but he knows theater people. And he's got some traits of theater people, if you ask me, which is not a bad thing. I love theater people. I was one of them. I am still one of them at heart. I'm once a theater person, always a theater person, but still, I can leave some of those warning signals behind. Not saying that I will ignore them always, but I won't attach to them either. You know, the signal will go off. I check, is this a real signal, or is this just a habituated signal? So, like I said, there were some possibilities here, and possibilities that will be step by step by step moving towards something. And getting stuck in just staring out at the vast array of possibilities could have been a block for me. And I didn't do that. I put myself out there for the book, and I'm planning on asking this coworker of mine what good days there are for getting together for dinner. I'll wait for tomorrow to do that, but still, I'm going to pursue that and see where that takes us together. So, there we have it. What do you think? Let me know. If you're still here, hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows, yes, YouTube, not Facebook, YouTube knows that you enjoyed it and that other people might enjoy it as well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the alarm bell so that you know when I upload videos. I'm going to be switching to about 2 a week starting next week. So getting the alarm, getting the notification will help probably. And comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear what you think I will be moving into, either with this Ace of Discs or with the next stage of my life as a YouTube video creator, as a servant for you, as a communicator with you in this beautiful, beautiful kingdom, queendom, land of tarot and oracle and cartomancy. So friends, if you want a private reading from me, you know what to do. My email address is down in the description box. Send me an email. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.